spent how much money on PCs?
It's been 4 weeks and I haven't sold a single PC. So I got this motherboard used and it doesn't work.
Why won't you turn on?
Alright, I'm being a little dramatic, but PC flipping is not for the faint of heart. So I built my first PC about 5 years ago, and at that time it just kind of came and went and it was a fun thing. I forgot about it. But fast forward to 2023 when I upgraded my PC, and this time it didn't just come and go, it stayed. I was absolutely obsessed with the process of researching different parts and how they went together and the specs, not just from a performance point, but how they can look so differently. So I got to a point where I just wanted to create and build a bunch of different PCs to test out the different configurations and different looks. But there was a problem. I didn't need another PC. I was able to convince my wife to let me build as a server PC for our home, since we own a business and we have a lot of large-sized files to store. But obviously this was only one build. I wanted more. I was so hungry. All of this, combined with my love of business and creating things of value, led me to convince my wife again to let me start flipping PCs. Now, I assured her that it was going to be a very small operation, but yeah. Anyway, that's enough setup. Let's dive into the first 3 builds that got me into this adventure. Right off the bat, there were 2 things that I wanted to focus on. Number 1 was aesthetics, which I think was a really, really smart choice. Number 2 was I wanted to give people a beastly performing PC. So with a minimum of like a 5600X and a 6600 XT, but that was really not a smart decision, but we'll talk about that in episode 2. So I started out focusing on a singular build. I found an Antex NX200M on sale for about $45. Wow. I found a 6600 XT on eBay for about $160, and then a 5600X for about $110. And I was off to the races. Then, however, I was introduced to the beautiful world of knockoff Lianli 011 cases. These changed my world. Specifically, the DIY PC Q1, so I figured this would be my golden case to put my 5600X and 6600 XT build in. So I found a nice used 550 motherboard to combine it with, but then I realized that the Q1 has a weird narrower motherboard slot, so I couldn't put that in there, so I had to change my entire build because I only had a 450 on hand that would fit into the Q1. That was a slightly narrower one. That was the Gigabyte DS3H Wi-Fi. So I had to change out my entire 5600X and 6600 XT build into my Antex case. Now, admittedly, there were a lot of rookie mistakes I made along the way, like not realizing that the Gigabyte B450M DS3H Wi-Fi only has 1 fan header, and it's right in the middle of the board. I mean, come on, why? The DIY PC case having Molex fans, and getting a great deal on an MSI 610 motherboard, but then realizing that doesn't have Wi-Fi. So I actually ended up having 3 PCs. Number 1 was the 5600X and the 6600 XT inside of now the Antec case. Number 2, having to fill in the DIY PC Q1 case, now housed a Ryzen 3600 and a steel that I got on a 1660 Super locally for $60. Wow. And the third PC was kind of a Frankensteining of all the parts through my mistakes that I'd made in setting up the previous 2 PCs. And it just kind of was a weird Frankensteining of all the other parts that I had left over. So here I was, in the middle of November, trying to explain to my wife that I had not only 1, not 2, but 3 PCs on sale. And unfortunately, I didn't really have any sales to show for it. I had a tiny bit of interest on them on Facebook, but it wasn't really going anywhere, and definitely barely anything on OfferUp. So I was genuinely, honestly starting to worry a lot. So here's the specs of the first PC that I built. It had been listed for 3 entire weeks. I had about 150 views on it, but I had no idea what to compare it to since I hadn't listed anything before. And I only had like 2 or 3 messages, and none of them were anything serious. The second build was this. It had been listed for around 2 weeks, and it was definitely getting a lot more views and attention. It was sitting around 350 views, and I was getting more messages, but still a lot of these messages were random things like asking for trades, and this guy that kept harassing me for some tattoos, which I don't want. And here are the specs to the third PC that I listed. Now, this one I listed about 2 to 3 weeks after the previous 2, and I thought I was crazy for adding a third PC onto my Facebook Marketplace listings because the other 2 were barely getting any views. But everything changed. Most likely due to the time of year, since it was right around Thanksgiving, your parents were starting to think about Christmas gifts for their kids. And I'd read online and on different Discords and communities of other PC flippers saying that this is a great time to sell. But living through this did make me realize, while that is true, I think something that's even truer is the fact that people aren't on Facebook Marketplace to spend tons of money. So there's really a sweet spot as a PC flipper where you don't want it to be too low, where you're obviously not making anything, but the price can't be so high that parents would rather just go to a reputable brand, like something over $1,000. My third build started getting tons of clicks and messages. In just a few days, I was at around 1,000 views and ultimately reached 1,400 views. I was ecstatic. On Monday, November 20th, I sold my first PC. All right, I'm here. Gonna go in, help him set it up, and say bye to my first PC sale. Kind of emotional, honestly. I feel like I don't want to get rid of it, but here I go. It was the 3600 and 1660 Super build. The cost to build was $343.63, and the selling price was $580. $236.37 of net profit. It was a very nice dad buying it for his kid for Christmas. He said his kid has been nagging him for months for a PC so he could play Fortnite. 2 days later, a young man drove down from like an hour and a half away to buy the very first PC that I had listed with the 5600X and the 6600 XT. The cost of that build was $563.26, and the selling price was $760, $196.74 of net profits. And only a week later, Wednesday, 29th, I sold the 12100 and 5700 XT combo. Again, I know 12100 with that it's a weird combo, but again, it's the Frankenstein PC. The build cost was $538.07, and the selling price was $700. $161.93 of net profit. This one was also to a dad at the time buying it for his oldest son for Christmas. I was shocked and ecstatic. After about a month of sitting on hundreds of dollars of risk and a lot of hope, I finally sold my 3 PCs all within a week and a half of each other for a total of $595.04 of profit. I had so much fun in that month selling those PCs. The connection's already started. That dad I sold the third PC to, he said he had another son that would probably get jealous of his older son and want a PC himself. So there and there, he commissioned me to build him another one. I learned so much in that month. Too much to get into here all at once. But that's what the series is for. That's what this channel's for. So if you're enjoying following along this journey and learning and experiencing the highs and lows of PC flipping, then subscribe. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss any videos from this series, along with reviews of different parts that I get to play with. I may have gone a little crazy. Thank you for watching.